It's Nolan.
My nigga. Give me room, give me room, give me space. When I walk into the place, keep your eyes on straight. Eyes on straight, keep your eyes on straight. Eyes on straight, keep your eyes on straight. Wait, give me room, give me room, give me space. When I walk into the place, keep your eyes on straight. Eyes on straight, keep your eyes on straight. Eyes on straight, keep your eyes on straight. Hey, when I'm in doubt, I bring it back to the south. These label niggas acting fishy too, we treat them like trout. My contract stipulation keep me pleasing the crowd. But if they hatin', I may have to amputate them like y'all. My nigga, who that? Y'all wasn't around for them food stamp. Rockin' steel toes, yeah, around like it's boot camp. Hiding like Osama when my crush started looking till I started slinging wood like a young Paul. Boy, you know my motherfucking minutes. Run game like a scrimmage. Got the fam out the trenches. My potential got no limits. Need change like a limits. I uphold my commitments. Nigga used to be timid. Now I pledge independence. Been a go. The rappers didn't want to admit. I got the game in a choke, now they gotta submit. I'm hot as it gets, dropping payments down on the crib. I kept it solid with my partners and they pockets legit. Yeah. Give me room, give me room, give me space. When I walk into the place, keep your eyes on straight. Eyes on straight, keep your eyes on straight. Eyes on straight, keep your eyes on straight. Wait, give me room, give me room, give me space. When I walk into the place, keep your eyes on straight. Eyes on straight, keep your eyes on straight. Eyes on straight, keep your eyes on straight.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everyone's doing good out there this evening. Now, in this particular video, we're going to be getting into Jay-Z. Now, of course, everyone knows last night, Tony Buzbee came out and issued a civil complaint against Jay-Z, including him in a previous filing that was primarily geared at Diddy for SA of a minor, 13 years old, allegedly in the year 2000 at a MTV VMAs after party, right? Now, we went over the entire filing last night, went over all of the allegations, talked about how Jay-Z was originally not in that filing and his name has been updated within it. We talked about Jay-Z's response to that filing, you know what I'm saying, in which he says this is a blackmail attempt. And he basically said, I will show you that not all celebrities are the same. You've been out here trying to strong arm people into paying you because you know that people don't want to have their names associated with these types of allegations. Therefore, you're trying to take advantage and strong arm people. He says, I look forward to showing you how different I am. And on the heels of that, the very next day, Jay-Z has gone public, filing his own lawsuit towards Tony Buzbee to let it be known that he will not be paying him a red cent, as he stated last night. He says that Tony Buzbee is making real life victims that go through these things look bad. And it's him masquerading and disguising, using real life trauma to try to, sensationalize things in the press to pressure people into paying up some sort of settlement. And that's where we are coming into today. Now we've got the entire filing from Jay-Z. So this is where we're going to go with it. We're going to go through it. This is what we do. Jay-Z, apropos to motion to proceed anonymously, all right? So in his motion, he's saying, if you're gonna speak to me about anything, then I need to at least know who the person is that's accusing me. I don't even know who you're talking about, right? So I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna go through what Jay-Z and his legal counsel have to say. All right. Defendant Sean Carter's motion to deny plaintiff's request to proceed anonymously pursuant to Fed R Civil P 10A or to dismiss the complaint pursuant to Federal Code R Civil P 12B1. Okay, you've got a table of contents here, table of authorities, and I'm sure at some point while we're scrolling, we're going to get to it. All right. So this is from Jay-Z again and his team. He says, for months, an extortionate campaign has been targeting this named defendant under cover of darkness. That campaign was cynical and calculated to force payment of an exorbitant sum of money. Defendant would have to pay X millions of dollars irrespective of the truth or else. So he coming in hot. You know, Tony Busby says that he wasn't looking for any sort of money. However, he did come to him with the opportunity to settle, which is a monetary payment. So we'll move forward. When defendant refused to pay and instead took measures to establish his innocence, this unnamed plaintiff and her self-promoting counsel, whose names has been splashed across headlines and press conferences under auspices of representing her, went to extraordinary lengths to shut down fair defense. Okay? So they're calling Tony Busby a self-promoting counsel, right? And there's people in Houston that are corroborating this, saying that he does these billboards all over. They're claiming that he's put out false information about people, he's put false text messages in lawsuits of other people's trials, which have been dismissed. I'm only going off of what the people in Houston are saying. This is not my words. We will continue with Jay-Z and his legal counsel's words. But those efforts too failed. Now, at last, the false, unfounded allegations that underlie this campaign of extortion are having judicial light shined on them, except that this plaintiff is bringing them as a doe who will continue to hide under cover of darkness. Because that tactic is inconsistent with a genuine effort to determine the truth or falsity of these allegations, as opposed to an effort to procure a quick extortionate settlement, defendant is respectfully seeking either dismissal of the allegations or disclosure of the plaintiff's identity. Fair is fair. It is not consistent with justice, fairness, or the rules governing federal proceedings for the plaintiff and her counsel to smear defendant's good name in ways that are calculated to feed media coverage and thus inflict maximum public relations damage, while the core fact of plaintiff's identity, revelation of which stands to discredit her entire case, remains wholly hidden from view. Whereas doe status is reserved for truly extraordinary cases and predicated upon extraordinary justification, here a multitude of powerful considerations cut precisely the opposite direction, as other judges of this court have ruled in cases involving the same circumstances. Defendant Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, has built an impeccable reputation. He has never been accused of, let alone engaged in, any sexual misconduct. Until today, when plaintiff in an amended complaint filed by attorney Anthony Buzbee has leveled baseless allegations and accused Mr. Carter of despicable acts while hiding behind the pseudonym Jane Doe. These claims are not about justice for victims, nor are they about giving victims of violence a voice. Instead, they are merely the next chapter in attorney Buzbee's sprawling extortion saga, a saga whose aim is base and measured in dollars. Okay, so here, once again, they're accusing Tony Buzbee of being a legal extortionist. Okay, Busby has devoted himself to the business of extracting large settlements from celebrities, high net worth individuals, and businesses with any public ties to Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, following his indictment for sex crimes in September 2024. So Jay-Z and his team ain't playing. They say, hey, y'all niggas could take him down all day, okay? Just keep my name out the bullshit. That's what they saying legally. References to justice or sunlight serve only as window dressing. Make no mistake, this case is about retaliating against the rare target who would not pay. Attorney Busby has a history of targeting celebrities by making false allegations of misconduct, and Mr. Carter sought to expose Anthony Busby's latest extortion scheme in California lawsuit on November 18, 2024, after receiving a demand letter from Anthony Busby. Exhibit 1, extortion complaint. At the time, Attorney Busby knew who Mr. Carter was, even as Mr. Carter remained in the dark as he does today about the identity of Mr. Busby's client. Plaintiff and attorney Buzbee now bring these claims against Mr. Carter in a clear act of retaliation, as the complaint admits on its face. While Mr. Carter was being extorted, he could not speak out without revealing his identity and the heinous allegations made against him, which are patently false. That would be playing into attorney Buzbee's game and the leverage he is wielding. Okay, so that's an interesting piece here. So he says, because Jay-Z initially filed a complaint legally back in November after October came, and Tony Buzbee put out a filing of this exact same story, which at the time did not include Jay-Z. They reached out to him and said, hey, we're about to go public with this thing. And moving forward, we're going to include you in this. And if you would like to not be included in this, you can pay me and my client X amount of dollars. Jay-Z said it was in the millions of dollars range. Right? Jay-Z says, I don't even know who the plaintiff is. I don't even know who the victim is. Why would I pay you millions of dollars for something that I don't even know what you're talking about? I'm just paraphrasing what's said in this filing. Okay? Because I know some people are going to be like, Jay, yeah, you taking out for that nigga? I'm just paraphrasing. Okay? So, at the time, we already got that. Plaintiff and attorney Buzbee now bring these claims against Mr. Carter in a clear act of retaliation, as the complaint admits on his face. We already went through that. That would be playing into the game, the leverage he's wielding. The upshot would be highly sensational and equally false allegations being broadcast across social media and the press, thereby maximizing the pressure exerted against extortion targets to satisfy his monetary demands irrespective of the truth. Because Mr. Carter called upon the courts rather than paying, he has now been sued. Okay? Now remember, in the original filing, I believe Jay-Z did this somewhat anonymously as well to not reveal his identity, because he was trying to not be connected to this in any fashion, because at any point, if you're mentioned in a pedophilic dealing with a minor, there's inevitably going to be a large amount of people that will see it on its face and believe it. You know, the court of public opinion is not always about the court of public facts, and he didn't want to take the chance. So he says, I'll file my own thing. I'll go here. And he says, in retaliation, now they want to put my name in this and go public and try to sully my name. Okay? Irrespective of the truth. Because Mr. Carter called upon the courts rather than paying, he has now been sued. So be it. One way or another, Mr. Carter is entitled and positioned to exonerate himself through the legal process. In this case, he will vigorously defend himself and expose the truth, that the allegations in the complaint are false. I saw some people out there saying he never said that he didn't do it. I thought that statement yesterday was his statement of saying he didn't do it. But, here we have it in the clear. He says that the allegations in the complaint are false. But disclosure of plaintiff's identity is among the most essential basic tools that can and should enable Mr. Carter to vindicate himself. Mr. Carter should not have to defend himself in the brightest of spotlights against an accuser who hides in complete darkness while leveling allegations that describe the purported acts occurring in the plain sight of witnesses who could refute the plaintiff's claims if only her identity was revealed. So, we'll keep going. In the American judicial system, lawsuits are public by their nature and their design. The public is meant to know the facts involved and the identities of the parties. Indeed, federal law requires that all parties litigate using their true names. Parties are exempted from this mandate only in exceptional cases, where, for instance, allowing the party to proceed anonymously will protect him or her from physical violence, deportation, imprisonment, or severe harassment. Here, plaintiff has chosen to sue Mr. Carter anonymously using the pseudonym Jane Doe, yet has not alleged any facts that would allow her to sidestep the federal mandate requiring that all parties must litigate using their true names. Indeed, plaintiff's allegations exhibit none of the special circumstances necessary to allow her to litigate anonymously. To the contrary, her facially incredible allegations indicate that, unlike in many cases of alleged sexual misconduct, she has already been exposed in plain sight to countless witnesses whose truthful accounts would be helpfully and properly informed by specification of her identity. Notably, she has not claimed severe harassment, threats of violence, or any ongoing interaction with Mr. Carter beyond communications through her attorney. Nor has plaintiff even submitted an affidavit alleging these types of special circumstances. Instead, she relies solely on a self-serving declaration from Attorney Buzbee. Attorney Busby's affidavit does not include how an attorney from Texas is competent to testify as to the mental state of plaintiff, let alone how he has personal knowledge of what happened to her in New York to supposedly cause that mental state. The declaration does little more than parrot Busby's own motivations and a legal standard. That is, it does not provide any actual facts indicating that plaintiff is in need of extraordinary protection. Suffice it to say that attorney proffered innuendo and generic accusations do not suffice to justify why Mr. Carter and the American public should be denied access to plaintiff's identity in this highly public litigation. If anything, this case presents an extraordinary need to follow the ordinary rules of litigation and have both parties proceed under their actual names. Attorney Busby has for months taken to traditional and social media to describe how he planned to target celebrities in connection with these allegations, and he has now issued multiple social media posts about this action. Traditional media sources have somehow been reporting, with Busby's express endorsement on social media, that Mr. Carter is the target of Busby's allegations. Thus, the plaintiff, through her counsel, has acted quite unlike a party who wants to minimize the amount of public attention on this matter. That's an interesting point there. He's saying, y'all are trying to remain private while being extremely public. Just look at the actions of their attorney. Interesting. Instead, Busby has attempted to leverage public scrutiny to taint a potential jury pool, and put pressure on Mr. Carter to settle his meritless case. In those circumstances, it would be extraordinarily unfair if the plaintiff could continue to hide beyond the shield of an anonymity while leveraging public interest in this case strategically to pressure the defendant. Furthermore, the allegations here describe serious criminal violations. It is fundamental in the American legal tradition that a person accused of such actions has the right to know the identity of the accuser, and confront that person in open court. Moreover, the amended complaint itself makes clear what this is all about. Not justice, but a quick and large settlement against a celebrity. The amended complaint on its face alleges that Busby chose to sue Mr. Carter because he fought back against Busby's extortionate tactics. As Busby subsequently tweeted, Mr. Carter's conduct in defending himself has had the opposite impact because, in Busby's words, plaintiff is emboldened. And although the complaint alleges that another celebrity, Celebrity B, was also involved in the alleged actions, it does not reveal her identity. No doubt because Busby seeks to leverage his public allegations against Mr. Carter to extract a settlement from her. None of this is consistent with a genuine effort to seek justice and truth. So he's saying, now that you've thrown me into this, there's still an unnamed celebrity that they're also reaching out to try to get some sort of financial settlement from, right? To say, hey, we're throwing Jay-Z in here. He's about to go down. So if you want to be saved from this, go ahead and pay up and we'll never make mention of you. They say none of this is consistent with a genuine effort to seek justice and truth. Okay? Again, just paraphrasing. This court should not allow this strategic abuse of the judicial system to continue. Mr. Carter deserves to know the identity of the person who is effectively accusing him in sensationalized publicity hunting fashion of criminal conduct, demanding massive financial compensation and tarnishing a reputation earned over decades. This court has recognized the nearly identical claims brought by other plaintiffs represented by Attorney Buzbee do not meet the criteria to proceed anonymously. Here, the balance of the equities afford all the more reason why the plaintiff should be proceeding under her true name if she wishes to proceed at all. Background. In an amended complaint filed on December 8, 2024, plaintiff sued Mr. Carter anonymously using the pseudonym Jane Doe. Without filing her own affidavit supporting her request for anonymity, plaintiff instead relies solely on a declaration submitted by attorney Buzbee. That declaration effectively parrots those attorney Buzbee has filed in other cases alleging claims of assault by S. Combs and others. More importantly, this declaration makes no specific reference to special circumstances unique to plaintiff's case. Instead, it only makes broad and generalized assertions about attorney Busby's other clients. Okay? What does that say there? Strikingly, an overwhelming number of these clients, likely in excess of 80%, have stated to me or attorneys at my firm during their intake process that Mr. Combs made threats of violence against them or against clients' family members. So, okay, that's a direct quote from Tony Busby's filing. If the client disclosed to anyone the facts of the sexual assaults or other acts of Mr. Combs of which they were a victim, in at least 2 cases filed by attorney Busby with this declaration, other courts in this district have already denied his baseless motions to proceed anonymously for failure to meet the burden to show each plaintiff was entitled to the exceptional remedy of anonymity. Okay? Let's see here. October 30th, 2024, the court concludes that the balance of interests at stakes weighs strongly against granting plaintiff's motion, where plaintiff, who is an adult, has now decided to file a lawsuit in which she accuses a famous person of engaging in heinous conduct approximately 20 years ago. So that's a quote from the court previously denying someone's anonymity. And they say, another quote, and defendants have a right to defend themselves, including by investigating plaintiff, and the people have a right to know who is using their courts. That is another quote from the courts. Exhibit 3. So they're just giving you examples of when Tony Busby's filings have been denied without disclosing the identity of his client. There's every indication that this lawsuit is not truly about plaintiff, but about attorney Busby's larger unsavory agenda. Despite plaintiff's request to proceed anonymously, plaintiff's counsel is doing everything to draw widespread attention to her. The same day the amended complaint was filed naming Mr. Carter, attorney Busby posted on Instagram and Twitter prominently featuring himself, addressing the amended complaint and making clear this is not about his clients, but is about his personal spat with Mr. Carter. They then post a screenshot of Tony Busby's post, which was put up last night. He says, regarding the Jay-Z case and his efforts to silence my clients, Mr. Carter previously denied being the one who sued me and my firm. He filed his frivolous case under a pseudonym. What he fails to say in his recent statement is my firm sent his lawyer a demand letter on behalf of an alleged victim, and that victim never demanded a penny from him. Instead, she only sought a confidential mediation. Since I sent the letter on her behalf, Mr. Carter has not only sued me, but he has tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff. His conduct has had the opposite impact. She is emboldened. I'm very proud of her resolve. As far as the allegation in the complaint filed, we will let the filing speak for itself and will litigate the facts in court, not in the media. However, he's using the media to perpetuate this. He then posts a photo of himself, I believe, when he was in the Marines. So he says, recognize this guy? This is a picture of the Weapons Platoon Commander Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines from our old Western Pacific cruise book. Despite a coordinated and aggressive effort that has included harassing my kids, contacting my clients and former clients to encourage them to sue me, contacting my colleagues or former employees asking if I've ever abused them, showing up at my current employers' homes to harass them, filing frivolous cases against me and my law firm, defaming me with outrageous assertions to anyone who will listen, and having mysterious people follow me and my family, I'm still that guy. I won't be bullied or intimidated. People will see through this effort to discredit me and my clients, and the truth will be revealed. I also won't allow anyone to scare my clients into silence. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I am quite certain the sun is coming. So, Jay-Z and lawyer made reference to the sunlight thing earlier. They continue. What is more, attorney Busby has made numerous social media posts and statements to the media regarding his representation of individuals with allegations against Sean Combs, including that he would target other unnamed celebrities. These statements began a couple weeks after Mr. Combs' indictment and continued after plaintiff, through attorney Busby, sent Mr. Carter unfounded demand letters in November 2024, falsely accusing him of rape. These baseless claims, unsupported by evidence, are nothing more than a calculated effort to strong-arm Mr. Carter into submission. When Mr. Carter proved unwilling to pay, attorney Busby escalated his tactics and schemed further, threatening to conjure additional false accusations and manufacturing a parade of fictitious additional victims to emerge and further damage Mr. Carter's reputation. So he says that attorney Busby here is threatening to show up with even more victims with fictitious stories to further damage his reputation if he doesn't do as asked and provide financial relief. To coerce Mr. Carter into compliance, plaintiff and attorney Busby imposed an arbitrary deadline in their extortionate demand letter, warning Mr. Carter that they would take a different course if he did not agree to a confidential mediation to resolve this delicate and important matter. Without even waiting for the deadline provided by the extortionate demand letter to pass, attorney Busby posted on social media that he intended to file a lawsuit naming Mr. Carter and attaching the extortionate demand letter to punish Mr. Carter for seeking redress from a court. All along, Mr. Carter refused to bow to attorney Busby's scheme. Faced with the choice to either pay an exorbitant sum to silence plaintiff's wild, false allegations of S.A., risking irreparable harm to his reputation, family, career, and livelihood, or face a barrage of baseless lawsuits and financial ruin, Mr. Carter stood his ground. On November 18, 2024, Mr. Carter filed a complaint against attorney Busby and his law firm for his extortionate conduct. In retaliation, plaintiff and attorney Busby filed the amended complaint. They did so, however, only followed a failed attempt by attorney Busby to obtain a restraining order against Mr. Carter's counsel. Interesting. Why would you get a restraining order against his lawyer? Notably, the amended complaint acknowledges the plaintiff, through her counsel, attorney Busby, is only bringing these false claims against Mr. Carter in retaliation for his failure to respond to her pre-litigation demand letter. Plaintiff goes so far as to accuse Mr. Carter of filing an utterly frivolous lawsuit, orchestrating a conspiracy of harassment, bullying, and intimidation against plaintiff's lawyers, their families, employees, and former associates in an attempt to silence plaintiff from naming Jay-Z, rather than citing a desire for compensation for any actual harm suffered because there was none. Plaintiff, through her counsel, apparently chose to file this amendment as a result of the egregious conduct perpetuated by Carter against Anthony Busby, quite different from the plaintiff. These tactics are designed to silence the other extortion victims who, like Mr. Carter, have been targeted by Anthony Busby, not based on their perceived culpability, but the depth of their pockets. Okay? Attorney Busby's tactics send a clear message. Any individual who resists extortionate demands will face public retaliation through highly publicized lawsuits. This strategy is designed to silence other victims of attorney Busby's extortion while creating media spectacle to amplify unfounded claims and maximize monetary recoveries outside of court. Yo, these niggas are being very vigilant in their choice of words. Like, it sounds like some regular shit, but if you know what the hell they saying, they are being very vigilant in the delivery of this motion. That this plaintiff is suing only now, after attorney Busby has been left stinging from personal rebukes and defeats, supplies positive proof of how he elevates his own interests above those of clients. Needless to say, this proceeding should not be driven by attorney Busby's agenda or interests. It is about finding the facts, applying the law, and fairly adjudicating what is the actual truth. Mr. Carter now is entitled to defend himself against these allegations with benefit of all the protections and mechanisms available to defendants. To be sure, and attorney Busby's game has been to prevent Mr. Carter from defending himself while punching below the belt. Today, that game is at an end, and Mr. Carter's defense has begun, starting with the plaintiff's unmasking. These niggas is crazy. He said, your game is over today. And we're going to start by revealing who this is that is putting these trying to file charges against me. Or a civil claim against me, rather. On November 6th, this is procedural history here. November 6th, before Mr. Carter was named, the court provisionally granted the plaintiff's motion to proceed under a pseudonym. At that time, the only named individual was Mr. Combs, who was indicted and had a flood of allegations leveled at him by myriad plaintiffs at the same time. In that order, the court clarified that at the time it was entered, the balance of these interests may shift as this matter proceeds, and defendants deserve to be heard on the issue. December 8th, 2024, Plaintiffs' Counsel filed an amended complaint naming Mr. Carter an upstanding public figure who has never been accused of anything like this in his life. By plaintiff's own admission, Mr. Carter was named solely because Mr. Carter refused to accede to Plaintiffs' Counsel's extortionate demands. Plaintiff's counsel knows he cannot continue to proceed with these lawsuits anonymously. Indeed, another judge in this very courthouse, considering precisely the same circumstances presented by the plaintiff here, declined to permit that plaintiff to proceed anonymously. He's saying, folks in this very courthouse that I'm filing to already know what's up. Okay? Mr. Carter now brings this motion because circumstances have changed. What the amended complaint put at issue no longer reflects the interests of the plaintiff. It is now a vehicle serving the singular agenda of Attorney Busby. Lest there be any doubt, one need only look to the social media post Attorney Busby made concurrent with this filing. It features no image or symbolism related to any purported victim of SA. It features only Attorney Busby himself. So he says you didn't even make no symbol, no image, or any reference to actual wrongdoing. It's all about you. Again, paraphrasing. Plaintiff's amended complaint should be dismissed and the motion to proceed anonymously denied as moot, which is useless. In the alternative, the court should require plaintiff to identify herself so that Mr. Carter can adequately defend himself against these baseless and spurious allegations. Okay, legal standard. A putative plaintiff must establish subject matter jurisdiction to proceed before the court, and thus the court must know who is seeking redress. And Rule 10A of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure thus provides that the title of the complaint must name all parties. Fed Civil Code P10A, also Publicola versus Lamenzo. This is an example, I guess, where this rule was used. This rule, which cannot be set aside lightly, serves the vital purpose of facilitating public scrutiny of judicial proceedings. As the Second Circuit has explained, the people have a right to know who is using their courts. Indeed, this right is supported by the First Amendment. A district court can grant an exception to this rule. They've said this numerous times. We'll skip that part. The Second Circuit has enumerated a non-exhaustive list of factors to determine whether a plaintiff's interest in anonymity, outweighs the interests of both the public and the defendant. So these are the factors in which a plaintiff should be able to seal their identity. These factors are, as labeled: 1, whether the litigation involves matters that are highly sensitive and of personal nature. 2, whether identification poses a risk of retaliatory physical or mental harm to the party seeking to proceed anonymously, or even more critically, to innocent non-parties. Whether identification presents other harms and the likely severity of those harms, including whether the injury litigated against would be incurred as a result of the disclosure of the plaintiff's identity. 4, whether the plaintiff is particularly vulnerable to the possible harms of disclosure, particularly in light of her age. Whether the suit is challenging the actions of the government or that of private parties. Whether the defendant is prejudiced by allowing the plaintiff to press her claims anonymously, whether the nature of that prejudice differs at any particular stage of the litigation, and whether any prejudice can be mitigated by the district court, whether the plaintiff's identity has thus far been kept confidential, whether the public's interest in the litigation is furthered by requiring the plaintiff to disclose her identity, whether because of the purely legal nature of the issues presented or otherwise, there is an atypically weak public interest in knowing the litigants' identities, and 10, whether there are any alternative mechanisms for protecting the confidentiality of the plaintiff. A district court is not required to discuss every factor or use any particular formulation, provided that it balances the interests at stake. Plaintiff must bear the burden of rebutting the presumption of open records and establishing that the balance of factors weigh in favor of proceeding pseudonymously. Here, the balance of interests favors disclosure. Argument: plaintiff's motion should be denied in full and her identity disclosed immediately as required by the federal rules. Okay. So again, they're pleading to the judge. This case needs to either be thrown out or they need to reveal themselves. Okay. All of this other stuff here, we've read through probably 2 to 3 times over. Just scrolling through to see if there's anything else that we haven't already covered. And y'all should know we've covered plenty of these lawsuits on my channel. They repeat a lot of stuff in these things to reiterate with all of their arguments. Okay. This is filed by Quinn Emanuel and Alex Spiro. Okay. And that came out this morning. So that's Jay-Z's response. As I stated last night, I do not know what happened on that night back in 2000 of the VMAs after party. Tony Buzbee's claim is that this 13-year-old was trying to get into the actual award show. Somehow she was not, she was roaming the streets of New York by herself, trying to get into the VMAs. She couldn't get in. So therefore, she started roaming up the street and she saw different drivers of celebrities and stuff. And she was trying to get in people's cars. And anonymously, randomly, a driver that was supposedly associated with Diddy said, "You're just what he's looking for." Allows her to get in his car. He takes her to this big mansion with a U-shaped driveway. She then goes into the party. She's partying with all these adults, and somehow gets led into a room that has no furniture in it, just a bed. No TV, no nightstand, no nothing, right? She's looking around, trying to see what's going on. She's been drugged. They have a photo of some sort of container in her lawsuit. I guess the container was said to have contained the drugs, but it definitely doesn't look like a glass. In a lot of these other cases that Diddy has been named in, a lot of them speak on being given drinks that have been drugged, and they show like the drinks that were used to drug them. And this one, they show some empty, like almost like inhaler looking device. And she says she's in and out of consciousness. Jay-Z, Diddy come into the room with an unnamed female who's also a well-known celebrity that she recognized immediately. Diddy comes forth and says, "You ready to party now?" Right? To which he then slams her up against the wall, slams her up against the wall again, then proceeds to try to violate her. She says that Jay-Z and Diddy both took turns on her while this unnamed celebrity female witness saw all of this. At a certain point, while Diddy is trying to get her to engage in, we'll just say oral, she struck him on the neck. This is her story. She allegedly struck him on the neck. He grimaced, and she took that opportunity to run out of the room. Okay? So as she's running out of the room, she's not clothed. She's a child, 13 years old. And she says that no one in the party, although they may have seen her, no one blinked twice at her. Nobody attempted to help her. Nobody did nothing. Everybody continued just doing whatever they're doing. She makes her way outside. She then runs past everybody, right? This large property, cars pulling up, everything. She's running past everybody. Eventually, she makes it to her way out to a gas station where she's able to call her father. Her father then comes and retrieves her, takes her home. I did not see in the filing where she was taken to a hospital or to a police station. She was just taken home, and we don't know what happened in the interim of the last 24 years, but now the file has been released, right? The filing has been released. So that's Tony Buzbee's and her account. Okay? That's just for everybody who may not know, because we read through that last night. Tony Busby says, "Hey, we reached out to Jay-Z, said we're about to go public with this thing. So if you want to protect yourself, it would be in your best interest to pay up." Jay-Z says, "I ain't paying you shit." He goes and files his own motion in the state of California. Anthony Busby says, "Oh, okay, you wanna go try to get your own protection from the courts? Let's go public." Jay-Z says, "All right, this is the game you want to play. Let's play." Okay? That's everything that we have up to this point. I don't know what happened. I just told y'all the accounts that are inside that lawsuit. You can venture off and go read them for yourself, come with your own conclusion. I'm not telling anybody what to believe, what to think, or how to respond to this. We will just have to keep tabs on this thing moving forward and see what evidence is revealed at this current time. We do not have any evidence other than two pictures of a plastic container that is said to have contained drugs. Okay? That's all there is in that lawsuit. So we shall see what goes on. Now, what's interesting is I see TMZ spoke to Mr. Tony Busby around the time that a lot of his filings, because, he had put out a hotline and was approached by thousands of people that reached out to him that were allegedly victimized by Diddy. And I want to go ahead and pull up some of the interaction that TMZ had with Mr. Busby about all of this.
Tony, you said last week at the news conference that you would begin filing lawsuits as early as this week. Do you have plans to do so? And do they involve celebrities? Do they involve just Diddy, people beyond Diddy?
I think I'll let the lawsuits speak for themselves. I don't expect there to be anything. Everyone's focused on what other celebrities were involved. Who's going to be named, who's going to be outed. I don't expect that to happen this week. I'm hoping to file some lawsuits this week. They of course will include Mr. Combs and some corporate entities. But we want to make sure that if we name individuals beyond Mr. Combs, that we make sure that we've done our homework, because it's going to create a firestorm. We understand that. So we're going to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's.
Tony, you said something interesting there. You said, I don't expect that to happen this week. So that sounds like there could be other people named, other famous people named down the road. I know you said this is going to be a process over the next 30 days of filing these lawsuits. So are you saying not this week, but maybe in the weeks coming after this one?
I would expect so. I really don't want to get into a situation where people are, if I don't file a lawsuit next week, then, there's that creates a media frenzy. The truth is, I want to be clear about something. If you were attending one of these parties, if you will, and you attended before, or you knew what was going to happen, that is, you knew that a particular drug was being used in drinks that was causing people to be coerced and taken advantage of, and you were there in the room, or you participated, or you watched it happen and didn't say anything, or you helped cover it up, in my view, you have a problem. And as we file each one of these cases, we're going to make an effort to resolve them on the front end. But failing that, we're going to file public lawsuits and pursue these cases aggressively. So who will be named, when they will be named, all that will come out in due course. But the bottom line is, I want to be clear about the scope of this. A lot of people attended these parties. A lot of people saw this activity going on. A lot of people allowed it to go on, said nothing, didn't intervene, maybe benefited from it, profited from it. All of these individuals and entities, in my view, have exposure here.
Are we talking about celebrities on the level of Diddy?
I would expect so, yes.
Have you sent any demand letters out to anybody other than Diddy saying, here's what you've done, we want to settle with you, or we're going to file a lawsuit? Have you sent any to say, other celebrities beyond Diddy?
We have, and I want to explain that process because it's important. You know, in every single case, especially cases like this, we collect our data, collect our evidence, do our due diligence, spend time with the victim, and then because it's in the best interest of the victim, we attempt to resolve these matters without the filing of a public lawsuit, and we have done that already. We've done that, I would say, you know, with a handful of individuals, many of which you've heard of before, and we'll continue to do that. That's just the standard process that every lawyer in the United States who handles these types of cases uses because it's the right way to do it.
But there are also people who want to jump on the gravy train and want to make money. And that's got to be a big slice of what you're getting. I mean, it's not just automatically believing somebody because they say it.
No, I think, Harvey, I think you're right. You know, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. You know, you get 3,200 calls and that turns into 100 some odd clients. I think you see the process that we're involved in. We're doing a lot of vetting, a lot of due diligence.
It may seem a little unseemly, but what he's saying is right. This is the way, Harvey, we've covered these cases forever, where aggressive plaintiffs' lawyers will reach out to somebody and say, unless you go ahead and pay my client money now, I'm going to file a lawsuit against you. And whether the allegations are true or not, it's going to be really embarrassing just to have the lawsuit filed. Therefore, pay up. And that's what Tony Buzbee is doing. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't believe in what his clients are saying. He doesn't believe that he has a viable lawsuit. But the plaintiff in this case, the John Doe that's suing him, is saying Tony Buzbee knows they're false and is sending these letters anyways, and that's a violation of his legal ethics, and he says a violation of the laws around extortion.
So, Jason, in the legal community, there are two words that critics of Tony Buzbee and other lawyers, you know, who are filing these suits, there are two words that they use to describe that whole process: send a demand letter or else I'm going to sue you. Two words.
Legalized extortion.
Yep. I mean, that's what is commonly referred to in the legal community, legalized extortion.
All right. So that was a segment from their interview with Tony Buzbee on the Downfall of Diddy documentary. You can watch that on Tubi. And I guess that's their legal aid who kind of can read through the lines and stuff like that, giving his explanation of what it is. And I believe that the John Doe that they were talking about at that time turned out to be Jay-Z, which we're now discovering, who was claiming that Tony Buzbee was trying to legally extort him. All right. Again, I don't know all of what happened. I can only report on what's available online. I'm sure many of you that are online today have probably seen many other things that have been said about Tony Buzbee and his practice. And all of those things have to be taken into consideration, will be analyzed. I can't say what his motive is or what Jay-Z's, dealings were at that after party, at the VMAs after party in 2000. Again, I am not here to sway anyone's opinion left or right about the nature of these allegations or the true victim in this situation who is being overlooked in many of these cases, because we just see Tony Buzbee out here lambasting and demanding money. Okay. So be sure to let me know what y'all think down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. J. Cole has just released his 2014 Forest Hills Drive 10-year anniversary deluxe, but it's only available on inevitable.live. I took a listen to it before I made this video. There's 8 unreleased songs from J. Cole during that era of him completing that album. I sat down and listened to all 8 tracks, gave my assessment of it. If you want to hear it, without necessarily, having to cop it off of J. Cole's website, because it's not for free. And I don't believe it's going to be released on streaming, because they released it through inevitable.live, which is in partnership with even.biz. For those of y'all that have been here watching my music videos since I used to do just exclusively music business breakdowns and stuff like that, y'all know I'm an advocate for even.biz. I originally released my Southside Nolan album through even.biz. It's a streaming alternative. It's a direct-to-consumer option where you can put your album or your content, because you could put albums, you could put podcasts, you could put music videos, all exclusively up for sale on that site. You can offer it at your selected price, whether you want to allow fans to pay you what they want. You can set a price. You could set a minimum offering, and they could pay above or higher if they choose. But this is a platform that I've advocated for. And J. Cole has partnered with them. He's officially their biggest artist that's even partnered with them. But I'm listening to the album over on Patreon. So if you want to check it out and get my response to that, I don't think YouTube is going to allow me to play it. So go join us on Patreon. I believe the video will be dropping at 6 p.m. So check it out. All right. And if you want other exclusive album listenings, music video reviews, and other types of content like that, we're only going to be doing that on Patreon to protect my channel from potential copyright claims and or copyright strikes. All right. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Much love and respect, y'all. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming, I swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. But drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they died of me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.